My. Things are falling apart for Joe Biden, and some of his voters may be having buyer's remorse. Now, I feel like last weekend, I did a video in which I was basically saying like, yo, if you voted for Biden in the last election, you get what you deserve, okay? You get what you deserve, right? Look at the economy. Look at inflation. Look at the immigration crisis. Look at COVID. Look what's happening in Afghanistan. Look how Biden embarrassed us on the world stage at the G7. How in the hell can you objectively look at what is going on in this country under this administration and think that, oh, that was the right vote, right? Like, come on, man. But see, we tried to tell you. And some people are realizing that we were right. As there are now polls showing that Trump would beat Biden today with more women and blacks voting for Trump, okay? Oh, so you mean to tell me that the Democrats' rhetoric about women and black people, it was all just rhetoric? At the end of the day, what really matters is the economy, right? Having the greatest economy ever, having a job. Oh, that is what people actually care about, not BS rhetoric. Again, we tried to tell you. But let's read here, as there's a new poll out that's basically showing that Trump would beat Biden if the election was held today. A slew of new polls have come out this week showing the shrinking support for and approval of President Joe Biden. His average now below 50%. But today, Rasmussen Reports is issuing the capper telling secrets that in an election do-over, Biden would lose to former President Donald Trump by a 6-point margin, 43-37. Likely voters would pick Trump over Biden if the next presidential election were held today. That's a pretty large margin, guys. I mean, 6 points, okay? That's a pretty large margin. That's a lot of people saying, you know what? I want to stick with Orange Man bad, okay? His tweets were mean, but we had a great economy, right? We had a great economy. We had freedom, okay? We had a respected military, okay? We had lowest unemployment in history. People were working, right? Everything was great. And then the Democrats get in and they don't fulfill any of their promises whatsoever. And I'll get into more details of that. But let's read here. The details of the survey, which sampled more Democrats and Republicans, showed that Trump will win more women and blacks than he did in 2020 when he lost to Biden of 46.8 to 51.3. Again, so all the Democrat rhetoric about women and blacks don't really mean anything. Listen, what has the Democrats done for black people? Right? People love criticizing Trump for being racist, but Trump tried, right? He listened. He reached out. He said, hey, you know, what do you want me to do? Okay. And he tried. He passed criminal justice reform, right? With the First Step Act, trying to rectify some of that stuff that Biden did in the 90s. Okay. He also worked with Tim Scott to implement opportunity zones, which is basically a way to invest in black communities and you know, more low income areas. Okay. He also increased funding to HBCUs. But oh no, Trump's a racist, they say, right? I mean, if Trump's a racist, he's the worst racist I've ever seen in my life. Okay, he really is. Has Biden done any of that? What has Biden done? Okay, has Biden done any of that whatsoever? I don't think so. But they done a whole lot of talking. They pretend like they're going to do X, Y, and Z for you, and they done nothing. They can't even get police reform passed, guys. And it's not even like I really agree with that, right? That it's something that's needed. But I do understand why some black people really, really want it, right? And the one thing that they say they're going to do for black people, they have not even tried to do, guys. They're still negotiating. But guess what they prioritize, though? They prioritize the For the People Act, right? A legislation to get black people to vote for them. But then when black people vote for them, they can't even do something as simple as pass police reform, which honestly really is bipartisan to a certain extent. Right? There's some bipartisan agreement that they can't even get that passed. Right? That there's nothing that they're going to do. It was all rhetoric. They've got rid of Black Lives Matter. Right? All of a sudden, police brutality went away. Y'all notice how this works? When the Democrats get in office, you better learn the game, man. You better learn the game. But a lot of people are. Right? And they're saying, you know what? I'd rather have a great economy. I'd rather have a job, right? That's what a lot of people are saying right now. I would rather be respected around the world. Just saying. A sizable 14% would choose some other candidate, though none were named. The survey comes at a key point in Biden's presidency. He is now under fire for bungling America's withdrawal from Afghanistan, increasing inflation, and spiraling crime. That's another thing, too. Crime, right? Crime being out of control in liberal cities, right? Like Chicago, New York, Portland, Oakland. Again, these primarily affect black communities. What has Joe Biden done? Oh, he blames guns, right? Instead of being tough on crime. Right? Instead of empowering police, instead of actually calling out Antifa, whom, again, is openly being hostile to Christians and black people who support the police, who want more police presence in their neighborhoods. Oh, no, just an idea. Don't worry about those guys, even though they're harassing and tearing up your neighborhoods like they did all last year, right, along with Black Lives Matter. Don't worry about that, okay? We need to win an election, right? We need to beat Trump. Several other surveys out this week have shown his approval rating underwater, a place Trump floated for much of his presidency. That's because Trump had all of the mainstream media against him, right? Every single mainstream media outlet was against Trump. Biden has every single mainstream outlet for him, and his approval rating is declining, right? That shows you the difference. People say, oh, well, Trump's approval rating this, Trump's approval rating that. No. You got to understand the circumstances. Trump had that approval rating because the media was against everything he did, whether it was good or bad. They never gave him credit for anything. Biden, on the other hand, his approval rating is dropping despite the fact that he's getting favorable news coverage from everybody. Well, put it this way, up until the Afghanistan thing. Because, the establishment media, they still establishment, right? And they want us to stay there forever. Okay, just like the establishment wants us to stay there forever. So, yeah, they're going to hammer Biden hard on his decision to pull out, whether you agree with it or not. So, yeah, it's just been up until now where the establishment media has actually started to go after Joe Biden. And guess what? Now his numbers are declining because the media is actually telling the truth. Today, Axios headline, Biden's average approval rating drops below 50% for the first time. It cited poll trackers from 538 and Real Clear Politics. The site added, this marks a precipitous decline from the 538 peak of 55.1% in March and RCP peak of 55.7% in April. Despite showing Trump edging Biden in an election today, most told Rasmussen that they did not regret their 2020 vote. Some 89% said so, led by 95% of Republicans. For Democrats, it was less than 87%. So yeah, these numbers aren't really that surprising because, of course, most Republicans are not going to regret their vote because they probably voted for Trump, right? The 5% here that is regretting, they probably voted for Biden, right? And then with the Democrats being 87% don't regret that vote, that means that 13% of them do, right? Which really, in my opinion, is enough to swing an election, right? If 13% of Democrats say, hey, we regret voting for Biden, that is enough to swing the election, okay? So that's kind of a big deal. So again, guys, keep in mind, this was a majority Democrat poll that found that if the election was held today, they would vote for Trump. And we look at 538 here. We can see Biden's popularity, his approval rating, decline over time, right? Again, this is favorable news coverage this whole time. As you can see, it starts to go down and down and down, and now it is below 50%, right? It is below 50% for the first time, right? Again, this comes as the establishment media is now going after Joe Biden on Afghanistan. Right? They got to get some money too, right? That's why I tell you guys about the media. Eventually, they're going to attack Biden because there's only so much of, oh, Republicans bad, January 6th, Trump bad. Trump's out of office. There's only so much of that they could do to try to get viewers, right, without actually attacking Biden. This Afghanistan thing really opened the door for the liberal media to go after Biden hard, okay? And this is honestly great news for Trump. It really is. With Biden doing so bad, he's doing so bad, I think that a lot of people are like, that guy Trump, right? He was actually pretty good, right? We actually liked our economy under Trump. We liked our military presence around the world under Trump. We liked the fact that Trump was for having stronger borders, right? We liked having less crime, okay? And I think a lot of people are saying the changing in America, and they're having regrets. I mean, guys, listen. Biden hasn't even fulfilled his most basic promises, right? He said when he was coming to office, I'm shutting down COVID. Guess what? 8-9 months in, COVID's not going anywhere, right? It's not going anywhere at all. He can't even fulfill his promises to his base, the progressives. He's done nothing about student loan debt. When it came to the stimulus package that we didn't need, he couldn't even execute on that right? He promised $2,000 checks. He only did $1,400, right? Broke that promise. He hasn't even passed his infrastructure plan yet. Hasn't passed that yet. He might. It looks like he might, but he hasn't yet, right? He hasn't done police reform. He didn't pass the For the People Act. The border is out of control. So what has he done? What has he done besides screw up the economy? He's not even fulfilled promises to his base. So yeah, if I was a Democrat voter, right, I'm sitting here thinking like, Biden's not fulfilling any of his promises and things are getting worse. Why would I not just vote for Trump, right? Why would I not just vote for Trump? That's literally what a lot of people are probably thinking in their heads. For all the orange man bad, at the very least, America was in a great place under Trump. Just saying. So this is good for Trump. That means that he probably has a pretty decent shot of winning come 2024 if Biden keeps, shit to bed. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.